Hey, it's Dasein, a philosopher here, and I'd like to talk to you about my second book titled How to Never Be Broke Again. So in today's video, we'll actually be talking about the ninth rule of how to never be broke again, which I go into deeper detail in my book, which is make more than you spend and increase your income. So this one's fairly simple, but it kind of creates a paradox with the last chapter, which was move from a income paradigm towards a net worth paradigm. So last time we were actually talking about how in order to never be broke again, you're actually better off focusing on your net worth. This is essentially the total of assets that you have, whether that be cash or investments or business equity, minus all the debt that you have. That would be your net worth. But here we're actually talking about increasing your income and spending less than what you make. So the first part, make more than you spend, is fairly simple. If you work a regular job, let's say you get paid $100 a day, you should only be spending less than $100 a day. This is because you want cash flow each day or each month. So cash flow is income minus expenses, which equals cash flow. Like I talked in the previous videos, you want to use this cash flow to then invest because that's going to increase your income. So with the second part, increase your income, you kind of want to train your brain to always be looking at opportunities and always be looking at different ways to increase your income monthly. In the previous chapters, I talk about applying knowledge and what you learn, and you should always be constantly learning more about your finances, thus increasing your financial literacy, but you also got to use this in real life and essentially build other income sources. So with increasing income, it's relation to your cash flow. It's because if you have extra cash or excess cash each month, you can actually use that excess cash to invest, which will then pay you in income. A little story that I had is that about 2 years ago, when I was living in Quebec teaching English, I was fairly aggressive with my investing just because I was training myself to be able to handle being broke, which meant that not only was I investing almost 80% of my income, but I was also sending money back home to my parents because we made a deal that I could only move out if I can demonstrate that I'm making more money than I need, thus being able to prove this by sending them essentially cash every month. With this almost habit that I was doing where I was essentially investing 80% of my income, there were weeks where essentially I was very, very tight on cash because I invested most of it. I wasn't sitting on excess cash. Essentially, there was a time where I had to go to school and teach the whole day without having a meal. This was pretty hard actually, and I was actually kind of concerned about where I was going to get my next meal from. But usually I always check my bank account at lunch just to kind of make sure where my finances are. I always had this habit of being conscious of where's my money coming from, where's my money going to. And luckily enough, I noticed that I had gotten a deposit from one of my favorite stocks that I own, one of the companies that I kind of grew up with as a kid. And they actually ended up paying me a little under $11. I think it was like $10.50 or something like that. I don't really remember. But essentially that $10.50, that little deposit, even if it wasn't much, that actually gave me the opportunity to eat that day. And again, it's because I was investing towards creating this income source. Even if it was only $10, it was nice knowing that my meal was paid for by another company. Like I didn't have to necessarily work for this. It kind of just appeared in my bank account. As years progress, 2 years later, I'm getting paid a little bit more than $10 a month from that single company. But again, this is a way to increase your income. I'm investing into companies that will pay me what's called dividend checks. In one of the other chapters we look at you want to create side hustles. So you want to create businesses that kind of give you an extra source of income or other sources of income. So you should always be looking at increasing your income almost on a month-to-month basis. And this will just train you to see the world a little bit different. Just like how the net worth paradigm will kind of change how you see your own finances, always looking at opportunities how you can increase your income will change how you kind of see the world in general. Again, this is a work of pragmatic capitalist philosophy. So my book, How to Never Be Broke Again, it does cover theory, and it does also cover practical uses of what you can actually do in order to never be broke again. But again, in the core of it, it's a work of philosophy, meaning that once these rules or the truth is revealed to you, it's kind of like you're blinded by the light. It's as if you were living in the dark the whole time, living in the cave, and then when you finally went out and saw light for the first time, it's almost blinding, and after that, you can't necessarily return back to the cave. You can't, it's very hard to kind of turn off this whole new way of seeing the world where you're always looking for opportunities to increase your income. It can cause some problems if you get too attached to increasing your income. I always remind my clients, friends, and family that money is just a tool. Gathering money just to gather money is essentially having your happiness be represented through numbers on a computer. But if you're using income or money as a tool to get what you want, to live with your dreams, then that's where this whole financial education, financial path of becoming more financially literate is a lot more fulfilling, so to say. So again, essentially you just want to spend less than you make for a certain while just to have a little bit more cash flow, which will then you can invest, whether it be in other companies, in your own company, in your own side businesses, your own passions. But you also want to find ways to increase your income. There's literally money moving around all the time. Anytime the market is open, there's about, I believe, $33.3 trillion being circulated around the world. You just need to make sure you get a small piece of that, keep it, and reinvest it back into yourself. So again, that's the 9th rule of how to never be broke again. And this rule, we're getting near the end. There's only 10 rules in my book. This one is make more than you spend and increase your income. And as a bonus today, I'll actually give you an opportunity to increase your own income if you live in the Winnipeg, Manitoba area. So as you guys know, I am marketing and I'm creating promo videos for the upcoming release of How to Never Be Broke Again, which is my second book. First one I wrote is up here, which is Dawson's Journal, collection of philosophical thought. This is actually the first book that I ever published, but my first work of philosophy was never published. I actually intend for it to be published as a posthum work, meaning after death, just because my philosophy is always reverse engineering my life. I want to live a good life by being able to die a good death. So interestingly enough, my first work of philosophy will actually be published once I leave this earth. Anyway, that's another topic. We're getting a little bit too deep here, and maybe death is not something most people like to talk about. But again, I do use it as a way to motivate myself to never be broke again and give back to 6 generations deep of my family. Anyway, back to your opportunity. If you live in the Winnipeg, Manitoba area, I'm actually going to offer you an opportunity to increase your income. I'm looking for people who are motivated and interested in making extra income by selling my book. I am willing to offer up to 77% commission for each book sold. These books, I've been selling them at a discounted price. You can, if you are interested in this opportunity, you should DM me. So that means click on your direct message, send me a message that you are interested in increasing your income. And again, this is going to be an independent contract, meaning you are now moving, if you are an employee, you are moving towards a business and a self-employed cash quadrant. And now you're going to be actually in a different tax system altogether. Meaning you actually be able to write off some stuff because this is actually your business and you won't be working for me you're going to be working with me, and essentially I'm going to be sharing profits with you. So again, I'm looking for people who are interested in selling my book, How to Never Be Broke Again, and we can get into discussing the contract, discussing how payment works, and discussing even some bonuses that you can make. So again, if you're interested and you live in the Manitoba, Winnipeg area, hit me up, send me a message, and we can get moving forward towards increasing your income. And then we can even sit down and take a look at your own personal finances and see if how you can make more than you spend, maybe spend a little bit less, save you some money, get you some cash flow, invest in assets, and make sure that you are never broke ever again. So it's Daza and a Philosopher here. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. See ya.